How do you want this?
I'll sit in the middle.
I don't know if it was a circle or
Yeah,
way
like a high school class, every last row. The teacher's like up in the front lecturing, right? Okay. Talking about single focus read alouds, and we've been talking about a multi-focused read aloud. We're going to do a character study, and I want you to take notes as I'm doing it. Okay. So I'm going to read it to you like I would be reading to the class, but I'm also going to stop and say, okay, what can we do at this point? Okay. I also want you to think about how we can connect it to drama, okay, and to a reader's theater. Okay. And we'll talk at the end how it can become another focus after the character study. So the story that I'm going to read today is The Great Kapok Tree by Lynn Cherry. Okay. And readers, I know you've been doing a lot of work with fairy tales, fables, and legends. Okay. This is The Great Kapok Tree is a fable. Readers, what do we know about fables?
They teach us a moral.
They teach us a moral. We're going to learn something.
The animals talk.
The animals talk in a fable.
Usually 2 to 3 characters sometimes.
Okay. Readers, it's a fable. It's an environmental fable. Okay. So turn to your partner and tell your partner, today we're going to read The Great Kapok Tree by Lynn Cherry, and it's an environmental fable.
I said it.
Lynn Cherry, and it's an environmental fable.
Okay. All right. Here we go. In the Amazon rainforest, it's always hot, and in the heat, everything grows and grows. You can just look at the picture and sort of you're getting your sneak peek. What is this going to be about? The tops of the trees in the rainforest are called the canopy. Readers, turn to your partner and tell your partner the tops of the trees are called the canopy.
The tops of the trees are called the canopies.
The canopy is a sunny place that touches the sky. The animals that live there like lots of light. Readers, what kind of animals do you think would be living in the canopy?
Birds.
The birds, parrots, yeah. Okay. The bottom of the rainforest is called the understory. The animals that live in the understory like darkness. What types of animals might live in the understory? Tell your partner. I think
I think
Snakes.
there. She
snakes.
copied me. She copied me.
Sounds like a good place for a kid.
Okay, and this would also be a time, maybe a stop and sketch. Okay, sketch the canopy, sketch the understory. Okay. Or maybe it's going to be a stop and jot. What do you think is going to happen based on the cover and the information that we read? Okay. Okay. 2 men walked into the rainforest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet, and the creatures watched the 2 men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to the kapok tree. Then he left. Show me what the larger man did. I'm going to reread that. The larger man stopped and pointed to the great kapok tree. Then he left. Okay. So we've got the great kapok tree. We've got 2 men. 1 pointed, 1 left. Okay. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack, whack, whack. The sounds of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop, chop, chop. The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack, chop, whack, chop. Soon the man grew tired. He sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. Before he knew it, the heat and hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. Readers, tell your partner what just happened to the man. What did he just do?
He was chopping down, or trying to chop the tree, and he got tired.
¿Por qué la culebra está en el árbol? No se
Se
puede
lo va a
pasar.
Se va a morir.
A boa constrictor lived in the kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear, "Senor, this is a tree of miracles. It is my home where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down." Readers, turn to your partner and tell your partner what the boa constrictor. We're going to study our characters. So this is our second character. What did the boa say to the man?
He's trying to persuade him.
Told him not to cut down or chop
What
down
did the boa say to the man?
Sisters
And you could take pictures of the book. I tend to use a lot of clip art. You've seen, I've come to your classes, but you could take pictures of the book, or I can send the file to you if you want to do this, or you can invite me in. A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. "Senor, my hive is in the kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the trees and flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another." So readers, here you could turn and talk, turn and sketch what the bee does. Okay. So first we would need to think, then turn, then talk, then sketch. You could do that on the carpet with the turn and talk partners, but you'd have to break it down. So if I wanted them to turn and jot, turn and sketch together, so first think, then turn, then talk about it, and then sketch. Okay, and then you'd want to, then you can talk about the character. Why is the bee so concerned? You can talk about what the bee is going to be doing, pollinating. A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They chattered to the sleeping man, "Senor, we have seen the ways of man. You chop down one tree, then come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die. There will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away and the forest will become a desert." Readers, turn to your partner and tell your partner, what is the pattern that you're starting to notice with the messages? What's the pattern? What do you notice? I heard a great conversation over here that you're destroying our home. So I've put the characters on the front and then their message is sort of on the back. Okay. Pollinating. A toucan, macaw, and the cock of the rock flew down from the canopy. "Senor," squawked the toucan, "you must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happens once you begin to chop down the trees. Many people settle on the land. They set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins remain." Okay. So we've got more characters that have come in, and we have the same message. A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of the leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped in the man's ear, "Senor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives, many ruined lives. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree." A jaguar had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and shadows of the understory, no one noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear, "Senor, the kapok tree is the home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner?" Readers, how is this message different from the other characters in this story? What is the jaguar concerned about?
Selfish.
Selfish, that's survival.
fir tree porcupine swung down from branch to branch and whispered to the man, "Senor, do you know what we animals and humans need in order to live?" What do you think he might say, readers?
Food.
Oxygen. And Senor, do you know what trees produce?
Oxygen.
If you cut down the forest, you will destroy that which gives us all life. So we've got the jaguar, he's concerned about his dinner. And the porcupines are concerned about breathing. Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. The unstriped anteaters said to the sleeping man, "Senor, you are chopping down this tree with no thought for the future. And surely you know what happens tomorrow depends upon what you do today." The big man tells you to chop down the beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children who tomorrow must live in a world without trees. What message does the anteater give to the man? Tell your partner. The anteater tells the man.
What's going to happen if your children?
Right?
Trees alive.
That. What did you say? The anteater tells the man.
That's going to destroy the world.
To enjoy trees and the beauty of the rainforest. A three-toed sloth had begun climbing down from the canopy when the men first appeared. Only now did she reach the ground, plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man. She spoke in her deep and lazy voice, "Senor, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes?" A child from the Yanomamo tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over to the sleeping man. He murmured in his ear, "Senor, when you awake, please look upon us with all new eyes." I wonder what that means, to look upon us with all new eyes. So I'm thinking aloud right now. Maybe that means to reflect on what the other animals whispered and told him, and to rethink your original plan. Readers, thumbs up if you think that's what that means. Okay. And then I would spend some time with that, reread that part, and get into it with them. So readers, what do you think the man will do when he awakes? You can make a prediction at this point. The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him, staring, were the creatures who depended upon the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers. Let's smell the fragrant perfume. How do they smell? Sweet, fresh. He felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor, but he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent. Readers, why do you think the creatures are suddenly so silent? They did a lot of talking in our story. What have we learned so far about what the creatures want, and what are they awaiting? Okay. Yeah, so that's okay. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung back his arm, though, to strike the tree, and suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked around at the animals and the child. Readers, so I would have, should he cut it down? Maybe a debate at this point, should he not cut it down? Okay. And then what's your evidence based on the story so far? Okay. Then I would show them the picture. Okay. You could do a turn and jot, or have them write them down. He hesitated, then he dropped the axe and walked out of the forest. Okay. So I think that we can do lots of things with this book. I have a few copies that I want to pass out to you. What are you thinking for your class with theater, with Earth Day coming up, with the connections?
Especially getting into character. I mean, something they could each take on a character, make a group, maybe take take on one character together and they could replay the different, like what they're whispering and stuff. They'd have fun with that. Senor.
I actually, when I taught in Mexico, acted this out and we made costumes and we actually took all the characters and we wrote what they had said and we added a little bit and kind of made it our own. So an interactive writing, it became an interactive writing. I used parts of the text, used the characters, used the storyline, but we reshaped it so the characters had more to say, okay? I'm gonna give you the actual script that I have, it's typed up in the format, the play's ready to go. But I would take it to the next level and do an interactive writing and add, if you think this would be something you could use. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you see how this could be a different focus the next time you read it? That's what I wanted to get to from you. What would you do another time with this text?
Well, you talked about doing, with Earth Day, well, we can connect it because we'll be talking about food webs and stuff. So the first time you're using it as a reading focused character development, the second time I would actually use it for science, excuse me, the science and how the web, all those webs and everything, how everything is connected to each other.
Maybe another time you read it, you do vocabulary, okay? So we've got science, we've got vocabulary. You could use it for writing. Yeah, writing.
Persuasion too.
Persuasion. Maybe letter writing. I sort of looked at your letter that you
Try
have.
to get him to not cut down the tree.
Taking care of
Or
the
the opposite, try to get him to cut down the tree.
Have a debate.
I made cards, we're not gonna do it, but you could use these cards again too. You could pass them out and they could build conversations. You could have your grand conversation here, or you could go back to the table. Or I could do a turn and talk, turn and jot, turn and question, and just pass up, okay, the small tree frog, the young child, and give them a card, and then they go back and have to remember the text based on that. I can do a stop and sketch.